Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here, playing Hearts of Iron 4's World Ablaze mod, which radically changes what's going on with Hearts of Iron. So I'm not 100% up sold. Napoleon looks young. Well, Napoleon's long dead. Okay, yes, our Sir Toyjet's offended now, of course, yes. So, I just offended all the youngsters out there. John asked a very good question. Why was the Italian military useless in World War II? British operative capture. We're getting a lot of operatives. Well, there's a lot of reasons. The biggest reason was leadership of the Italian army itself, I would have to say. Its military leadership was the biggest reason. The second, and I can elaborate more here in a moment on all these points, the second important reason is sort of this: the poor industrial capacity of Italy compared to France, compared to Britain, compared to Germany, let alone the Soviet Union, USA, which are, bigger and huger industrial powers. But it was more industrialized than Spain, for sure. But I would say probably, I'm not even sure whether the industry of Czechoslovakia might have been bigger. You probably go out and, numbers of rifles produced, capabilities, and numbers of trucks, because you have, you have Onsando and Fiat and whoever in Italy producing tanks and trucks. Yeah, Italy has larger industry, as in more of it, but I would say as a percentage of the population, how industrialized the country is. Meaning, you can have a small, highly industrialized country, but might have less industry than a larger unindustrialized country, if you know what I mean. Like Belgium might be considered a relatively highly industrialized country for it, but Romania might be able to produce more of it, but it's a bigger country just because of it, but like a percentage of industrialization, or however you want to put it. But in that sense, and as a percentage industrialization, and I do realize that like Slovakia wasn't terribly industrialized, still isn't. But as a percent, I would go with Czechoslovakia is more industrialized, though there is probably more industry in Italy just because it is a bigger country. And then third is, where do I want to come over here? Is probably this, which isn't, I don't know if we're reflected well, but the poor design, out of date design of Italian equipment. The only thing that I can think of design-wise that was up to world standards, that was produced in large amounts. I'm not talking some prototype here or there, point me at. The only thing that was really for the Army, I'm not talking about the Air Force or the Navy, but for the Army, because those are different. Air Force and Navy are two different elements. The only thing I would say that Italy was up on, sort of world class on, up at the top, was submachine guns and pistols. Those are both coming out of Beretta. The designs. And even the pistols are underpowered. I mean, they're good, but at best you're really going with a, a 380, or as you Europeans would call it, 9mm Browning or 9mm Kurtz, depending on the terms, but those are all the same caliber. The Beretta submachine gun was 9mm Parabellum. Everything else, a lot of, shall we say, first rate, if you will, or first line, or whatever, Italian divisions were equipped with not World War I, designs of artillery, but actual leftover World War I guns, because they're just that out of date and cannot produce enough. So that is more to the lack of industry as opposed to the lack of designs. And I could go on, and I know there is a rant if you want to look at in my back catalog, in which I go on to the rant about the Breda machine gun here. Not a submachine gun, the Breda machine gun. Just shortly, not only is it internally designed very poorly, function, how the mechanisms function, it has a fixed, meaning unremovable, box magazine that can hold 20 rounds. And so you have 20 rounds, you get to shoot 20 rounds out of the machine gun, and then you get to get 4 stripper clips and reload that same box magazine. You can't even have somebody sitting next to you with another box magazine loading it while you shoot to hand it over like you can with a Bren gun or something like that. It was fixed to the gun. So I cannot... and it was also unreliable as in jamming. So the only thing I said, talking the other day on the Slitherine stream, the only thing I can think of worse, to actually design a worse machine gun, was to design a machine gun that you singly load each bullet one at a time. So we're talking something slower and worse than an American Civil War era Gatling gun, or the sort of French gun from the Franco-Prussian Wars that was a big sort of volley gun. Those will shoot faster and more reliably. They're just big honking things, they're not light machine guns. Would be more reliable and more functional than a Breda light machine gun. And the Ravelli machine gun relied upon, because of whether it's manufacturing design or manufacturing qualities, to be able to have the internal workings of the Ravelli. That's the sort of medium or heavy machine gun that the Italians used, the belt-fed one, water-cooled in World War I. It relied upon the rounds, the link belt rounds, to be lubricated as they go into the gun to keep the gun functioning. If you didn't have the bullets lubricated as they were going into function, the gun would not be able to function, because guns get hot, metal expands, so more wear and tear on that. So what they had was a little oil reservoir that you would have to keep full, and then a brush that the oil would slowly drip down the brush, and as the belt gets, you're not seeing my hands, I know, but you can sort of picture it, as the belts feed the ammunition into the gun, it sort of coats it with oil as it's coming in to keep the gun functioning. Now, can you imagine when you're talking about shooting in an environment where you're having like talcum powder type sand, super fine grained sand, and you're oiling the bullets as they go into the gun? How... no, the show shot was better. The show shot, however you want to say it, better than the Breda. Because the magazines, you could change them. And they held more rounds. and they're probably more reliable. At least when new, because I know Forgotten Arms did the joint thing with Sea and Arsenal. Maybe 100-year-old show that's been fired a hell of a lot may not be terribly reliable, but right out of the warehouse, right out of the or factory production, the show I think would be more reliable than the Breda and better. The Breda might be more comfortable to shoot just because you're jamming that thing into your cheek on the show to be able to look down the sights if you're even planning on looking down the sights. So might be just more comfortable to shoot the Breda. But so the Ravelli, they're sort of heavy machine gun, that's just not a way to go. The Breda 30, yeah. So it sucks. So and it's not just we can look at the tanks, we can look at the trucks, the artillery, and we were and I think the question was specifically by John about the Italian Army. Hello, Star Street, good to have you here. Yes, thanks for the thumbs up. So, he said military, because I would say. The Italian Air Force wasn't quite useless, but mostly playing catch up to better aircraft models. They didn't suck, but they were just never quite good as the newest versions of the enemy aircraft. But never enough of them. That goes back to industrial capacity. The Italian Navy was, of the three services, was the most modern and rather good. But you can look at excuses like, oh well, they didn't have a large stock of fuel oil for the ships, so they couldn't patrol very much, so they stayed in port a lot. Yeah, that is true. They were concerned. They did not have large fuel supplies for the Italian Navy. Very true. They were concerned about consuming the Navy, the fuel up. So even so they didn't want to even just say spew power around the Adriatic or something as in training operations. They would train in harbor. How to load and not actually fire live rounds, but load and dummy rounds and do naval training within the harbor, not burning up fuel. So they definitely kept them in ports more than most nations. Now, to the point, Germany's doing that too because it doesn't have enough fuel either. But really, I would say they were afraid of losing the Italian Navy because they knew they couldn't build another one, and they would not sally out with their Navy unless they identified at the time it would have been British or very early on in French, but unless they identified a weaker British fleet unit that they could get. So if they were unsure about the nature of the British whatever fleet operations were going on at the time, or if they saw if it was equal, oh, they've got 3 battleships, well, we have 3, yep, no, we aren't going out. They've got 1, we've got 3, we'll go out, but we ain't going out on equal terms. So unless they knew they had an overwhelming advantage, they weren't willing to go out and use it. And I don't really think it was a cowardice situation from a captain or the sailors on the ship. I think they were reasonably competently trained and reasonably competent at doing their jobs, the Navy, but I think it was cowardice from the political and naval high command, in the cowardice not of dying or whatever, because they wouldn't have been the ones, but just over losing the ships. And then by the time you get the Americans in the war, what's the point? If you sail your ships out, you're going to probably lose them because of air power, because of naval power, because like surface fleet or submarines. You're probably going to lose them. So why use them? What do you benefit? Once you get really the Americans are operating, invading Sicily and whatnot. Once you get them in there, what objective you get? It's sort of like towards the end of World War One, the Kaiser orders the German High Seas Fleet to sally forth out to attack the British fleet at the end of the war, and there's a mutiny in the German fleet. Is why the fuck are we going to go die? We're not going to serve it, the glory of the Kriegsmarine as it goes off to die to battle the German or the British Navy, and even if you sink a bunch of the British Navy and make them pay for their victory, because you just sunk some of their battleships, and even if you sunk one battleship for every one of Germany lost, it wasn't going to change the outcome of the war, and everyone knew it, and even including guys, it was just sort of like a revenge or honor assault, and the fleet goes, we don't need to die, because where they fought very, very bravely and very, very effectively, at the Battle of Jutland, to the point there, I would say, and I think most naval historians would agree, because that's where I'm getting this from, it was a tactical German victory, meaning they do more damage to the British fleet than the German fleet, but a strategic British fleet, because Britain does well enough that the German High Seas Fleet never comes back out in any sort of strength ever again. So they achieve the goal of protecting trade and whatnot by keeping the German High Seas Fleet in. So I hope that sort of answers some of your questions. The Carnos weren't bad though. No, they were bad. You have to look at either particularly what they were facing, the opposition, or looking at other known stuff. Somewhat underpowered, the Carcanos. Functional bolt actions, but you can say that about like the Mosin-Nagants kind of thing. But when you're comparing them up against, say, the Enfield rifle, no, I'm going to take an Enfield rifle. Got 10 round magazine capacity. Even if you're going to compare it against a Mauser or a Springfield, a 30-06 bolt action rifle, yeah, I'm going to take those others over a Carcano. Sort of a weak 6.5 millimeter round. I mean, it's not a tragedy of a gun like their machine guns were, but it's not a good gun either, really, in my opinion. Not when you can look around and see, yeah, it's better than the old Lebel rifle of France, but the new MAS 36, I would say, is better. All the Mauser designs, I would say, is better. Yeah, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not what I would call good. So those are my sort of reasons why. And fourth, I would say, because first is very poor leadership on the command level, including the NCO level. It's NCOs, it's officers, poor leadership there. 1, 2, industrial capacity, not enough of it. Industrial capacity. 3, the actual designs of a lot of their important weapon systems. And 4, a lack of Italian unity. We can see a significant lack of German unity up until the taking of Paris, for sure. Then we see German unity really, really coming in. Italy, not all Italians were fascist. The army itself was a royalist institution, not a fascist institution. Mussolini tries to sort of stiffen it because he's afraid that the army is not, it doesn't have enough fighting spirit, shall we say, so he adds fascist units to a lot of divisions. But a lot of the soldiers, they're not against the idea of, a new Italian empire. And I'm trying to be careful of what I say here. I'm not going to say that there's some sort of, strong anti-war feeling or anything like that, or, a strong, they were quite willing to go to war so long as that war wasn't too difficult. And so long as they weren't going to have to die in that war, might be the thing. Meaning that I don't see, and maybe somebody can point to things that show different tale, but it's like, oh hey, yeah, go fight in Ethiopia, no problem. Hey, yeah, let's go fight the Greeks. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. You mean we got to go charge up this side of this mountain and there's going to be a lot of people dying? No, thank you. So they, it's willing to sort of do their national duty, but they didn't want to die for it. They didn't have that sort of ideological, and I don't necessarily mean like fascism versus communism ideology, but even national ideology. They didn't see, because, hey, Italy does great out of World War I, gets a lot of extra territory, including roads and places like that, as getting Trieste and all these regions. So Italy's doing great. So they don't have a revenge. They were on the winning side in World War I. So they don't have a revenge motive. They don't feel like they're fighting for national survival, because again, this may be entirely coming from a Western viewpoint. An American one too, which has a lot of Italian Americans, and a lot of contact with Italy. I don't see the Italians thinking that an American victory means like the end of Italy as they know it, if you know what I mean. Where the Nazis, oh well, we aren't going to get to keep being Nazis afterwards, or a lot of the Russians, hey, if the Germans win, yeah, we ain't gonna still be Russians, let alone Bolsheviks after a German conquest, because Germany very well may erase Russia from the map. I don't see, and if they even thought about it, the Italian standard, Italian officer or Italian soldier, yeah, okay, they may lose, possessions like, Rhodes or Ethiopia or Libya, but it's still basically what they really see as Italy was still going to be theirs. And so it wasn't like why die to defend who? Mussolini? So I see that as sort of the fourth reason. There wasn't this morale, this, overwhelming need to fight in the war, even with unconditional surrender. The unconditional surrender definitely, I don't remember if that was the Tehran conference or the Casablanca conference. I think it was the Casablanca conference that the joint statement out was that they required a unconditional surrender, meaning no negotiations. That probably didn't keep the Germans fighting anymore. Yeah, do this. Longer, but it definitely kept the Japanese fighting longer and harder. At least that would be my estimation of things. Operative captured. Oh, how much longer till we get to it? Oh, maybe just talk about. Okay. Okay, 13 of 28 days. Okay, good. And this is. Talking in 47 days out. We finished researching that. Let's see, what decisions should we be making? We open trade with Sweden. Okay, that looks like a good one. 21 days. So far, our line is holding, though we have supply problems out here in the desert, which presumably the other side's having as well. We'll get that to. Okay, here's an interesting one. I don't know if any of you want to chime in on this. Other than what you would call the major powers of World War II, what minor nation contributed to, whether not necessarily contributed to the war effort of their side, because it could be an Axis minor nation, significantly? You know, that not just that they like put a lot of men into the field or something, but actually, because they were in it, significantly helped out their side. Could be for the Allies side, or could be for the Axis side. What do any of you have and a reason why that particularly helped out the side, and why? I would love to hear some of your ideas on that. Advanced industry, good. Well, okay, so okay, we'll take some divisions. Nationalist Spain. Where are they? they're actually, okay, they're sending this way. Okay, 41. So let's see, we can do efficiency growth, or let's do the fast one first. Industrial capacity up. In Germany kind of thing first. Saarland, yes. Eastern Rhineland. Okay, about bunkers. Okay. Let's see, can we put into the sky more fighters effectively? Okay, yes, it looks like it. No one wants to play the game of what miner might have contributed significantly to their side of the war effort. Okay. Hoping for some nice audience participation. Not even from you, Arno? You don't have a good suggestion? Well, I don't have, no, it isn't a win. I don't know. I'm just, what do you think? What do you know? Well, Axis or allies, Starstreak? What nation do you think materially, significantly, and why, of a minor nation really helped in the war effort for their side, and why? I don't have like this is like a right answer. Was it Romania? No, just what do you guys think? Why, because sort of from John's question, and I could sort of agree, it might have been better for Germany if Italy stayed neutral, to not go into the war. But even for the Allies, what, that was a benefit, having them in, and why, for the Axis or the Allies, minor nation. That they contributed to the, significantly to the war effort somehow, whether it would be a geographical position, or I don't know, or production capabilities, or because, you look at it, yeah, one of the divisions invading D-Day was Canadian. But Canada really, because they don't draft anybody to go overseas, so there's not a large ground contingent. Their production is quite honestly minor. Yeah, they provide a lot of food for Britain, and their their biggest effort, in my opinion, is their sort of small ship navy that's helping with the Atlantic convoys. But Canada doesn't do a whole lot for Allied victory, in my opinion. Not that it doesn't do its part, but it doesn't. If it wasn't there, other than sort of industrially or particularly with food, if it wasn't there, nobody would miss it. It's not like that. The Dutch for the Allies, because they kept fighting with the submarines and DDs and some cruisers, Even with the Air Force. Okay, I hear you, Arno. Yeah, well, like all allied nations on either side contribute to their side, absolutely. But what I'm sort of looking for is something that, did that change an outcome of a battle? Did that, was that enough that somehow that changes the outcome of the battle? Because I know they do fight, obviously, down here, but I don't know. That's what I'm sort of wondering. How much do these minor nations really contribute to the access of the Allies, other than just, yes, more manpower, some more ships, certainly, okay, very successful, your submarines. Okay, yeah, I don't know much about Dutch submarines in World War II. Okay, good. Now that we have Bulgaria in, which the main reason I want Bulgaria in is not because they're going to contribute much to victory or loss, but the way the AI works is Romania is no longer garrisoning the Bulgarian border, so they're either garrisoning out here or along there. We even managed several German U-boats. Well, cool. Okay, let's see. Okay, well, we can stop all of this because I think we have enough. Deal now. Okay, we got Swedish trade opened up. Okay, so we got more modern tanks. Where are they up here? Oh, there they go. Okay, they're actually moving off. Okay, good. Now let's update our production. I haven't updated the light tanks because they're light tanks. I don't really know that they're going to be overly effective. Anyway, I think it's more the idea of more than. Okay, let's see. So now we are actually down a little bit. Right, okay. But I don't want to, if I can, I want to, well, we have a bunch of iron. We're importing it. So, we're getting Swedish. We couldn't get Swedish. Okay, let's stop all of that. Let's come over here to see if we can increase our steel mills. There we go. Well, no, I'm definitely keeping that in mind, but, well, maybe next time we get a free slot, we have a 50% research speed bonus. Maybe we're not gonna do the Porsche thingy. We're gonna do the Henschel design. So maybe sometime soon. I actually think for Germany as well, having Turkey stay neutral, unlike the First World War, helps it out because it closes off the southern front. Yeah, I know it does join the Allies in 1945 or something like that, but basically it's neutral through the war. Had it Like, hey, yeah, we want to get back our, Ottoman Empire territories, and push down in here. Oh, this has gone free France. Ooh, I didn't realize this has gone free France. Okay. Can we... I think we can. Let's see it. Yeah. Will it go? He's pilot promoted. The naval control. Well, looks like nobody's really overly doing much. I think we've gone through enough days. Okay, we need 50%, so we don't have enough naval supremacy here. So, well, let's come over with our little navy here and add to here. There we go. So we may just go after Beirut instead now that it's free French. Because if Turkey came in, I think they would, one, need a lot of industrial support, because they don't even really make much of their own ammunition, so need a lot of industrial support from Germany, like it did in World War One, and when the fronts, particularly in the southern front, but also in the eastern front of Turkey, start to falter, they're going to need a lot of German support. Okay, let's move all of you guys over to here. How is our current? We are still looking at, this is the playthrough plan for, okay, we need better supremacy. We got enough days. So, well, we're going to have to come back and do that next time. I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. See you next time for more Hearts of